respecting those societies, their water values, and the ecosystems that support them and that also support us. So to boil all that down, at its core, water management is about people. We must use all forms of knowledge and more prominence to local understandings. And if we don't respect water, we don't respect the people and the environments from which it comes. So in my view, maximizing the role of water in facilitating peace comes back to something very simple. Respect local people. And that's the core of the presentation. Respect local people. Understand local issues, understand the connection with the broader communities in regions and nations and the globe, and think about what it is that taking water from those communities means to those communities and the environments that they rely upon. Thank you very much. And there's my contact details. Thank you.
Thank you. That was inspiring. Very, very good voice, I have to say, to listen and to get the core message. Thank you for your presentation here. So, respect for the source. What do you say about McDonald's, for example? McDonald's, like one burger, it's about 1,400 liters water used for one burger because of the meat, the beef. Do you have an answer? Like this is like McDonald's is seemingly not respecting it, right? But that's the bigger one, right? Than educating everyone. I understand that you have to do both, but isn't that then also political pressure?
Well, there's several points there, probably, Isabel. One is that using materials close to the source will reduce the amount of energy waste in moving those products longer distances, and any energy use also is a water use. Another point is that McDonald's are providing that hamburger because people like to eat hamburgers, but my point goes to us all as individuals, that we shouldn't be blaming the politicians or the producers of these goods. We need to take responsibility ourselves for the decisions we're making about the resources we use. So if we are going to buy a McDonald's hamburger, then we need to think about whether we're willing to have that impact that water use has on the world. And if we're going to buy it, then sure as hell we shouldn't be throwing half of it in the bin.
Are there any other questions? Yeah, Erin Dietmar.
Just to add on to that, I think we have to be really careful when we draw conclusions on very specific things, because the way that we raise meat, for instance, I think it has been demonized in many ways. And really what we need to be looking at and focusing on is how it is that we're doing things, not so much potentially that that McDonald's is making hamburgers, but asking ourselves, how is McDonald's making hamburgers? Because there are many studies that have shown that cattle can be raised and actually help to improve the water retention in the soil and help to improve the amount of CO2 that's being held within the soil. So there are nuances in here that I think are really important for us to examine before we demonize certain things. And
I agree part-wise, honestly, because beef methane, we have more beef than humans on this planet. Like, not every cattle farm is useful. So we have to differentiate where we look at.
And we need to be driving the market such that only those cattle producers that are doing good for the earth are making money. And if we can do that, then the beef can actually be super helpful and we can integrate things and move our agricultural systems such that actually we can create water and we can create a healthy biodiverse system, where right now we're just destroying it. So it's more the methodology in the agricultural realm than it is actually what it is that we're eating. So
I think
it's
an interesting example, but it reinforces my point that we need to take more personal responsibility. In the case that Erin is pointing out, we need to inform ourselves, and we need to influence, and we need to make decisions about what is acceptable for each of us as an individual. Not just go with the flow, but think more about what's happening.
Yeah, thank you very much. And we have a video message of Dr. Shehbaz Khan and from UNESCO. And keep it on ahead. Let's go with the next presenter. And on the in the mid somewhere, we run Dr. Shehbaz, a special message from our, and many of you, I think, know him. Jeff also have a good, that I see on LinkedIn, it's a good connection with Shehbaz and with UNESCO. So, Isabel, let's move to the next presenter. And then I run the video of UNESCO for World Water Day, which he posted to us on this occasion.
Abdul, shall I ask you to play it now? Do you have it? Do you have the video now? Please play it now, and then I can go for my presentation.
Okay.
Dear colleagues, dear water friends, as we commemorate World Water Day 2024, let us reflect on the profound connection between water and peace. Water is the lifeblood of our planet. It is a powerful symbol of unity and harmony. It flows freely, transcending borders and generations, nourishing every form of life in its path.
Abdul, it doesn't look good. Like, we cannot see the video right now. And I think to look into technology is a bit different for videos to play them well. So maybe you share it and we can watch it later and put it on LinkedIn.
Okay, sure. Let's go with then next participant.
Dr. Renuka?
Yeah.
Yes. Can you unshare your screen, please? Yeah, thank you very much. I will share my screen. I hope you can see my screen.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm Dr. Renuka Thakur, founder of Global Sustainable Futures Progress to Partnership Network. I have a network, open and transparent network worldwide, where we have 7,000 coordinators from 165 countries. And we are just not coordinators, we are universities, even networks and organizations such as Abdul's organization, and individuals like Isabel, who are very enthusiastic for climate change and so on. And so that is how we have wider network, and we all work voluntarily and come together to have such celebration, but also to increase our voice and providing an opportunities for early careers or those who cannot reach anywhere. I mean, do not have opportunities and so on. And they are so anyone without any limitations are allowed to join our network and come and present and so voice their opinions. And currently this year we have embarked on a very enthusiastic journey of doing Global South summits around the world. So first Global South Summit was done in Pakistan, and we had more than 78 organizations joining us. It is like a mini COP at ground level people. And in February, we did in Egypt. We were not able to do the full, all the themes of a summit, but we did Empower Her project in summit, in Egypt. And then in Kenya, we delivered a 3-day summit just finished yesterday. And we had, again, more than 50 organizations joining us. So we are trying to build, through those summits, we are proposing people to join us who can take a lead on 1 or 2 year programs, and they can disseminate those programs in their host country as well as around the Global South and beyond, and get connections and also get other support while they are doing so. And that is how we are working, and I'm thinking we are getting tremendous attraction. Next month, in the last week of April, we are having a Global South Summit in Nigeria. It will be hosted by Nigeria, and many other country level program leads will join that summit. So you are all welcome to engage with GSFN. I will put a link here of GSFN website, and you will find all the information there. So thank you for inviting me for this occasion, Abdul Quran and Isabel. And today I was given this topic to speak about sustainable networks, water over joint property and peace. Let me see how well I can justify this title. Okay, so of course, as Jeff has already, set up a stage by explaining that water is essential and it has to be looked by from the local people perspective, as well as, we have to focus on local needs and so on. And I highly appreciate what he has said. So water provides our lives and is deeply embedded in our cultural backgrounds. The basic human needs to secure food supply and freedom from disease depend on water, local availability and cleanliness and sanitation, and many more. Social development also, endeavors such as smooth functioning of hospitals or any other related things, they are also again related to clean water and so on. Economic development also requires energy resources, industrial activities, and these all are again water dependent. So the provision of whether you are talking about provision of sanitation for girls in schools, or whether you are talking about broader water bodies in the city or in rural areas, all these have effect on hygiene and health of the local people. And we have to make sure that these water bodies are safeguarded. They provide us what are their functional services to us. And so we are using them sustainably to keep them going. So in any way, like wherever we talk about development, it also, water is essential also to now looking at the latest development of our sustainable development goals. I think water also plays a very important, significant role, or it is essential to achieve sustainable development goals. So water is everyone's business. Hardly a day can go when we are not, nowadays, like it's very common that we hear the news of flood, or elsewhere we hear the news of drought. Why? Because they are water related. And then another thing is related is pollution. Other thing is related that it hinders our life. It is a life essential element, and therefore we always hear the news of water related news every time. It involves like without water we will not be able to have basic human needs such as food or clothing or housing. And therefore, again, preservation of these natural resource is highly important, and we should consider these interrelated all resource as an holistic, like we have to consider an holistic approach to address our water problem. So there is, again, like when I'm talking about water, it is constantly so essentially what I described in the previous slide, that water is power of creation of life. All civilizations also happened due to water or near water, where water was abundant, meaning that it has a power of creation. But at the same time, water has destructive power as well, because if there is no water, we witness plenty of problems. And nowadays, the water bodies are changing, and the effect of water bodies on the climate and our livelihood is also changing considerably. And therefore, we hear the problems like water-related disasters like tsunami, hurricanes, floods in most parts of the world, whereas in other parts we hear droughts and many other different things where there is a shortage of water. Having said all these, what is happening, that there is a growing body of evidence showing that there is a lower precipitation, higher evaporation, lower ground level water storage, and increased pollution. These all collectively have a demographic change, and it's seriously affecting the quality and quantity of the fresh water. And it is more vigilant into, more evident in developing countries, less developing countries compared to developed countries. And
but also here, like Spain, for example, we have it very extreme through tourism. Tourism is actually making the soil super dry. So also we have droughts here a lot in Europe. So it's not only a topic of less developed countries. Renuka, I just wanted to jump in because of the time. Maybe you can try to come to an end.
Okay. All right. So then
we have time for questions as well.
All right. Okay. Then I will have to skip plenty of things because, all right, I will just go to this one, saying that if you have to water management, I mean, governance of water involves plenty of things like adaptive governance, evidence-based decision-making, systems analysis, and global trends. And what I mean by that society, I will have to skip few things like systems thinking. I have just shown a map that there's plenty of things are interrelated, which could involve different criteria of environment, but also social and political and economic and institutional. And this is all theory which goes behind systems thinking. However, I would like to say, I will go to here, that this is one example of that there are plenty of multiple stakeholders in decision making and governance of water, and therefore it becomes very difficult for any to come to a sound solution and provide our governance models or frameworks. However, again, I will have to skip some theory, but however, I would say that stakeholder engagement, that if these your strategic agents are human and non-human. So we are humans, but and we have different roles at different levels, individually organizing at an organizational level and inter-organizational level. But there are non-human factors which are like policy, target, achievements, like what we want to achieve out of that, and so on. So if these two are like interacting in a way that we can perform, we can change the performance, or we can deliver our targets, then only we will be able to get a governance model that is acceptable to most people who are involved, and that is where we can achieve peace out of such governance model. So that is where I will stop. Thank you very much.
I have a question immediately about this other slide before. Is there something like, it was fantastic and super, super insightful, and it needs, I think, hours, like only in webinar for this one. I mean, like, isn't there like one meeting where the decision holders come together from those, like we have for climate action, for example, on an international level, there's COP, but then you have also something for biodiversity, nature, which is one result, the Montreal Agreement last time. Like, is there something for water where they come together?
There are plenty of high-level organizations who have come together for water governance at regional, even at a global level, at regional level, and to the sub-regional level, national level, and so on. But to give how we can establish peace lies within us and our neighborhood only, I think, because even in our neighborhood, we have shared responsibility for water. And, it goes to individual that, if you have a problem in your water pipe, you are responsible. But just the next door, if someone has a problem, you are not responsible. But you never again try to understand the bigger problem there, that why that has happened, because few pipes are shared pipes between all that neighborhood. And, people shy from the responsibility. So even at a smaller scale, this happens. At a larger scale, you can imagine how big this problem is. But what is happening, that if you bring stakeholders together, connect with them, understand several aspects of it, then it is possible. Because I can put one link for you to see. Yesterday, just I saw there's a high-level things going on. And very good example in Jordan. And Jordan and its neighboring country, I can share that also with you later on. So there are a few things that needs to be taught by us. And again, in just a discussion before my presentation, there was that we must be responsible to understand what are our responsibility, what are rights. Of course, we are talking about rights, that we should have this right, but equally there is responsibility for the state, for us. And so we have to also learn what are our responsibilities and how to execute it properly. Thank you.
Thank you. Can you share the slides afterwards for LinkedIn so that we can publish it again with all the other solutions on the last event page? I think it's good to kind of summarize all those presentation and knowledge.
I will do. Thank you.
Thank you. Via LinkedIn.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Thank you very much. And the last year when we did it, transboundary water, and from someone from Switzerland told about the rights and responsibility. and the things that how it goes, the water, evaporation, flow of underground water, and the rivers and the glaciers. So a huge topic, and which brings peace and very interesting, and need some other time a good debate as well, and on the water quality and the water quantity. For like all humans are equal and deserve good quality of water. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
So, Isabel, over to you. Let's go to the next presenter.
Like unfortunately, I couldn't much organize this time, so I was jumping in and didn't know whether I can make it yesterday evening. Abdul, could you please go through presenters?
Yeah. So next presenter we have with us is Thelmo. He's a very good professor in university and also the coordinator, and he has a good command of transboundary water and international law. So please come and share your experience and knowledge with our audience, and then someone if have some questions, let's move over there. Thank you. Welcome, Mr. Thelmo. Yeah.
Thank you. Can you guys hear me? Because, okay, thank you. I apologize because I just flew and I forgot my headphones on the aircraft. So I'm in a coffee store. I'm so sorry. But, well, I will try to bring some ideas. First of all, I would like to thank you so much, Abdul, for the invitation. And more than a special day, today is the World Water Day. So I think we all the colleagues here, we have to try to move on and change all the way the water, the people been treating, and looking forward for peace also. So talk a little bit. I ain't gonna do a presentation. I'm not too good on technology. So anyway, I would like to bring for the reflection to the challenges of the transborder waters laws and interface with climate issues and world peace. The question that remains is, what are the possible ways forward? So, education for sustainable development has an important role to play in making society aware of the importance of taking care of the issues, as well as the circular economy. By the way, we have to bring and raise the flag. So the Sustainable Development Goals number 6, it's all dialogue with those things that I'm talking to. It is necessary to transform to the mentally of citizens so that they accept the countless changes that need to be made in order to create a better future and try to reverse some of the several damage already caused to the planet by humanity. So there are several, hold on a second, several possible paths we can take to resolve the issues of transborder waters, environmental legislations, and climate issues and peace. So we need to take to the first step. So this morning, I'm talking from Brazil, so it's morning over here yet. So I think the idea is we have to move on and get water for everyone. It not depends what you belong, where you have been. We need, don't waste water. So even drop of water, we have to care, because even one drop of water is enough to make a lot of damage in the world. So I think we can get along together and bring and all from education sustainability and all the application of laws and all of that we gotta moving on. I think it's time right now we have change. So many thanks and have a great day, and we can moving on. Thank you very much.
Samuel, that was interesting. There was one key point in which we heard last time as well, Abdul. That was interesting. Don't waste water. This was asked in the last event in October to the law expert.
And the next is Aaron. And thank you very much, Talmo. Really nice. And I always love to listen on transboundary because life gets more, the shared experiences, knowing the right and establishing the peace through to the blue as we claim it's the water. Thank you very much. Aaron, warmly welcome you on World Water Day, and water and soil and peace is over to you.
Thank you. Thank you. So I am actually going to follow up on many of the issues that we have been discussing previously. Can you see my screen? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes.
So I am going to talk about the transboundary nature of the small water cycle. So I'm getting into a little more discussion on the science behind what we're doing and how it is that we can actually affect the water. So this is a statement that was made by E.O. Wilson, and for any biologists who are listening, they will understand that he was probably one of the most eminent ecology professors that have been around for a while. He was talking here about how the fact is that we're drowning in information, but nobody is putting this information together. And that's creating a lot of problems for us right now. So it's impacting the decisions that we're making, and it really needs to change. Like Renuka was saying, we need systems thinking because everything that we're touching is actually interrelated with everything else. So when we push on one lever, we will see effects throughout our systems, whether it be soil, water, energy, agriculture, it's all there. And we used to think about our water cycles in very, very simple terms. Just, you had evaporation, and then the water went up into the clouds, and then it rained. But we're actually understanding that it is much more complicated than that. And we've divided it into two cycles now. The large water cycle, which is pretty well the way that we thought things happened before, and the small water cycle. So the small water cycle is dealing with those clouds that are forming and rain that is falling that is actually quite a ways from large water bodies. And we're trying to understand how it is that so many of our rainforests and so many of our lands that are actually quite a distance from large water bodies have a lot of rainfall, because it doesn't make a lot of sense. So over the last many years, we've come to realize that actually a huge source of our water comes from the evapotranspiration of trees. So we're looking here on a leaf scale and on a tree scale. And it was measured, for instance, that an old oak tree can transpire 150,000 liters of water per year. That's a single tree, and that is an enormous amount of water. So why should we care about this? One particular tree, we're trying to see the relevance of this. The fact is that on each of these trees and on each of these healthy leaves, we will find millions of microbes. And each one of these microbes is super important, and each has its own role to play. Sometimes these roles aren't obvious to us. Hello? Some of these microbes have special powers to make rain.
Aaron, you are mute.
Sorry, unmute.
I'm not sure why I keep getting muted, but anyway, we'll keep going. Everybody's read this now. I'll move on. Oh, I have lost control.
Yeah, no, getting to.
Okay.
Very interesting, yeah.
So here is actually a photo that was taken in the 70s of a particular bacteria. Now that bacteria is called Pseudomonas syringae. It is found almost everywhere throughout the world. And the picture on the right is actually this bacteria acting as the nucleus for condensation and forming a snowflake. So tests were done, and what was found was actually that these particular bacteria have the capacity to make rain freeze up in the atmosphere at relatively high temperatures. So we're talking -2 or -4 degrees, which doesn't seem like it makes sense because we all know that rain freezes at 0, but the freezing happens in part due to the air pressure. And as we go up in the atmosphere and the air pressure gets lower and lower and lower, what happens is that pure water will actually freeze at -38 degrees. So relatively speaking, we're getting freezing and condensation happening at relatively high temperatures, those being -2 compared to -38. And what that does and what that means is that we're getting the cycling of water happening more locally. So there are also fungi that do the same thing and plankton that do the same thing. And these are obviously essential elements to maintaining our small water cycle. So here we're considering the tree level, right? The 150,000 liters of water per year. What happens when we put that together and we look at forests and we look at watersheds? There is so much energy that ends up being consumed in order to change water from its liquid level into a gas level. So if you look at this, 1 liter at 20 degrees is taking 2.6 million joules of energy to evaporate in 5 minutes. When we consider that, what it means is that we're creating a deficit of energy. And of course, when that happens, we have a lowering of the temperature. And because temperature and pressure are related, we have trees transpiring that are then making the wind because of their evapotranspiration. And that is known as the biotic pump. So here's just a very simple diagram to show you how that's pulling the air in. So we have on the left side, you'll see the normal large water cycle where you have the lake or the ocean that is evaporating water. We're getting the cloud formation, it's falling down. But then you can see as the clouds progress, we have evapotranspiration from the trees that's pulling up equal amounts, if not more, of water that's then being carried through the continent. And that's why we have areas in the middle of the continents that are actually really, really dense jungles. If you look at where our jungles are tropically, they happen to be in the middle of continents for the most part. And so it is this biotic pump that is driving all of this. And of course, these are more or less along the equator, but they are not delineated by political borders. So when we're dealing with issues that are affecting this, we need to think as a global community and not just as an individual country. So this is just an overlay of some of the atmospheric rivers globally. Because of course the atmospheric rivers are what cause a huge amount of trouble for a lot of nations throughout the world. And if we lose the biotic pump and we lose the winds that get created where those red circles are, for instance, we end up with these storms, which I've tried to show you with these yellow arrows, that actually end up stronger and stronger and stronger because the biotic pump isn't pulling away some of the intensity and some of the precipitation that it would normally.
Erin,
So, yeah.
Yeah, time-wise.
Time up? Okay. So I just finish up quickly. What are we doing today when we are carrying on our life? Well, we're using pesticides and herbicides, which are killing all these bacteria and fungi. We're cutting down the trees. We're polluting water, which is killing the plankton. And then also we're burning carbon, and that's creating these hydrophobic elements in the air. So really what we're doing is doing everything possible to kill the rain. And the result of that, drought, flooding, polar vortexes, extreme heat, fire, poor crop yields, pests. And if we want to continue and we want to have a peaceful world, it's within our ability. The fact is that we just don't understand how these cycles work on government levels. And the more that we can educate people, the more that that we can achieve peace, because it is within our grasp. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Erin. I think that was super interesting for me personally as well. I would love to connect with you on LinkedIn. I am not here in my role with World for Climate anymore, where we connect solutions globally for collaborative climate action, also water sustainability. It's a mobile phone app, exactly this knowledge point, and which is thinking global, connecting the knowledge like vocally, like a wiki. And you, yeah, I would love to talk to you again. Like, please, thank you, and please also send the presentation on LinkedIn,
Sure.
so that we can share on the Climate Change for Peace page, Abdul, because I think there we can summarize the best. There are also 25 solutions to create world peace. So if you want to deep dive into the topic, you can.
Yeah, really very scientific and micro nano water management. I never thought that the trees can play such a beautiful role in our ecosystem. And knowledge never ends. And after listening, Erin, I follow her on LinkedIn, on her comments, on her posts. Really very informative. And the next, what I see that the science has to merge with our nature. And we have to be in line with nature. So to protect our planet, because it's only one planet and we are having nothing else, and we have to take to the next, our people, the next generation, to give like we got from our ancestors, our forefathers, and in the same way. Thank you very much. And the next is Gayatri. Yeah, yes, Isabella.
Yeah, we have some more speakers. I see here Dr. Dietrich Bartelt. Are you ready to present as the next one?
Yes, I'm ready for it. I set up a second account. Can you make me share my screen on that one?
Which one is it? Which is your second account? Here, here's your second account.
Yeah,
but I might lose it. Can Abdul or Renuka do it? I think you understood how to do it without losing everything.
Yeah, I have this presentation.
Thanks. And meanwhile, I can just introduce a little bit. So Dr. Dietrich Bartelt is an expert on water solutions. I met him in the train in Germany when we were traveling both for work around. And he had like this SDG button on his jacket, and we were sitting close together. So we got in touch, and he has incredible solutions also for flood risks and dams, because this can be a problem. So this is where I'm coming from, a flood region here in Germany, sitting here right now with rivers everywhere around. So this was our touch point here, and he's a global, very well-connected scientific solution builder. Yeah. Let's start when you're ready, I hope.
Perfect.
Like, say something about yourself yeah.
Okay, now can I share my screen? Option and here we go. All right, that sounds good.
If you have, you can.
Yeah. Yes. Here we go.
Yes.
Yeah. Let me see.
Okay.
Does it work?
Yes, it worked before.
Can you see it? Yeah. Yeah.
No, once again,
Okay.
Now we lost
Yeah.
you. Now we lost
Okay.
you. Before we had you, Dietrich, do it again.
Okay.
Please, full screen again. Before we had you, like it worked, but now not.
Okay. Now you don't. Wait.
Please
Presentation
do it
beenden.
just again.
You can now, even I can do it for you. I have your
Okay.
presentation.
No. If that works, can you see it?
Please share your screen again.
Okay. Wait a second. Okay.
You managed before. If you Bildschirm freigeben, unten.
Ja, warte mal. Wo bin ich denn? Ich habe meine.
Oh, okay, should Abdul do it.
Okay, here we go. So, wo
Yeah,
war das jetzt?
I can do for you.
Then go ahead.
Wo war das bei? Bildschirm. Here we go. Yeah. Is it working now?
No, but Abdul can do it. Abdul, would you mind?
Now it should work. Yes.
But the Bildschirm, the screen is very small. I think Abdul's screen was bigger when he shared. He shared before, and then you took over.
Okay.
Yeah. Can you see now? And
Yes.
Yes. Okay. All right. I will go ahead. My research. Thank you very much for the introduction, Isabel. My study was about water, and what I found out is that water has not just the dimension H2O, but it has 4 other dimensions. Next slide, please. When we're looking at rivers as ecosystems, we have to see all the effects. And when we look through what happened in the past 20 years, we saw that there are many century floods in the past 20 years. Furthermore, when we look around in the last months, we saw that many dams are broken. Jeff has mentioned that that there are fewer fish in the rivers, and what you can also see is that there are the sandy beaches that are disappearing. And one of the issues I would like to talk about is that my son came up and he told me, "Daddy, water is burning." And I was laughing, but it was no laugh at all. So what you can see here is a picture of our former sandy beaches, and now they are concrete beaches. Next slide. So my research really is about the 5 dimensions of water, and I think what we need is a really new definition of water. Water is not just only CH2, but it is also it's also the solids, like the sediments, the stones, but also the organic material that is in the water. Third, we have the species and the vegetation, fish, microorganisms, bentostructure, plants and trees. The fourth are the gases in the chemistry, CO2, oxygen, methane. And then fifth is temperature. What we can see is that there is one connection between those 5 dimensions, and that is the flow. And this flow is impacted by the use of water. So, like for example, when we are using water, the riverbed is not something concrete. It's not defined, but it's very flexible, and it depends on big stones, small stones, and it's like it's a dynamic riverbed. Next slide, please. So when we are looking at the river, we have the upstream, that is the untouched river, which means completely natural, and then we have the impact. The impact of using water is like storing water in a reservoir. What this impact really does is that we are reducing the flow from the maximum in the untouched river to 0 at the dam. And I would like to talk to you about what impact that has. When we look at the untouched river, we have the maximum flow. there we have big stones that are transported through the river naturally. Now, when we are building this dam and using the reservoir, the storage in the reservoir, then we reduce the velocity, the flow from the maximum in the untouched river to 0 in the dam. So everything that is naturally transported in the river with the flow gets deposited due to the impact of using water and storing water. Next slide, please. In 1937, Hillström did look at 3 phases in the riverbed, and actually we have 3 stages. One is the transport stage. I told you about the dynamic riverbed, and in a dynamic riverbed we have transportation, which means that the stones are actually taking through the riverbeds and all the way from the mountains down to the delta. And wherever there is an impact, we have a deposit. We have either deposition, which means sedimentation, or erosion, where the flow, for example, is too big, where the stones are eroded, and then the riverbed is cutting into the bed. Next slide, please. So what happens where an effect of the usage of water, and this is like the situation in almost 30% of all our reservoirs globally, where the sediments are depositing in front of the dam, and reducing the whole storage capacity of the reservoir. And when my eldest son came to me, we were working on a reservoir in Germany, and he had a lighter in his hand, and he said, "Oh, Daddy, I have to show you something. Water is burning." And I was laughing. No, water is not burning. And he said, "Yes, here is here. I can show you." So he took the lighter and he actually burned methane coming from the reservoir, and that was one of the results where we started a new study on what the as a result of combustion in the reservoir organic material, it's producing huge amounts of methane in the reservoirs that go uncontrolled in the atmosphere. So we are talking about 2 sides of sedimentation. One is in front. Yes.
Maybe because of the time. It is almost past, and we had 1.5 hours for the event. Could you maybe, like, for everyone who's interested in dam solutions, and it's very interesting, it's a global problem, I would recommend you to get in touch with Dietrich, who's also internationally working. And then I would say you look more deeper into it, because it's also connected to nature and the trees around and so on, and the soil and what goes down and how you can make the solution. So it's a very interesting topic, but I think it's too much into detail now. Like maybe you want to say a bit more also about water and peace and how this could go together with your ideas.
Well, the effect is we are looking, then go to the last slide, or the second but last slide, just to the last, and I will explain a little bit around that.
And we will share the screens, the slides on LinkedIn again on this page.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Just go to the second but last slide.
Does anyone have a question by now about?
Nee, Isabel, mach mal vorletztes bitte einfach.
Ich mach das nicht. That's Abdul who's
19
the second but last, not the last one, but the second but last. One more, two. Yeah, here we go. So it's important. It's important about the 5 dimensions of water. It's important that we see it holistically. Okay, it is to see the river as an ecosystem, and to see our rivers as life veins. Wherever we are using water, we are actually clocking our life veins, which is it is the same as in the body. So wherever this clocking is in the arm, for example, everything beyond that clocked veins is going to die. So what we need to do is to unloosen this clocking, put the stance into the system, into the veins, and make them continuous again. And through this making continuous again, life comes back to the arm, to the river as ecosystem. So what we have seen in the past is when we are passing sediments that were deposited due to the impact of using water in the reservoirs and transfer them to the downstream, we are revitalizing the river systems, which means that we are bringing life back to the river. It's for the microorganisms, it takes only a couple of days and weeks, but for the bigger fish like salmon-like fish, it took 1.5 or 2 years, and then the salmon-like fish came back to the rivers. And I think this is a very good example of looking at the 5 dimensions of water, and looking at the impact, and wherever we see an impact of using water, using our rivers as ecosystems, we need to compensate this impact in the most natural form. That's also an issue for the transboundary river systems that we talked about, and I think that is also also needs to go into legislation of transboundary river systems. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And Isabel, let's go to the next presenter. And
thanks. I would like to give one opportunity at least for a question, even though we are like, maybe if someone has a question which is short. Else, please connect on LinkedIn and interact with the community. Like, we try to build a network of experts here. So hopefully you find others also through the page later on, and which you can connect with. Thanks a lot. So I would like to introduce you to the next speaker from Denmark. And there is the question whether, Sarah, are you here already? Or are you here, Sarah Lund?
I'm here, yeah.
Here. I couldn't see you. Okay.
I was able to share my video, but now it's working.
Beautiful to have you here. So we met at the EU Climate Pact ambassador meeting a couple of weeks ago. No, it was 2 or 3 in Brussels. We are both change angels, so-called, in the methodology to help transform European Union to 55% reduction by 2030 and by 100% climate neutrality, and hopefully also environmental sustainability by 2050. And Sarah is, we met, and she told me that she has a lot of water solutions with her organization. And so I thought she has interesting knowledge for everyone to share and to spread in the world.
Thank you very much. I'll see if I can share my screen and see if it's working.
I think it's loading.
Loading. Hopefully it's up shortly.
It is there. Okay.
You see it? Beautiful. Well, thank you very much for the introduction and for this beautiful event. So my name is Sarah, and I am working at a non-profit organization by the name Climatorium, which is this beautiful building you see here in the background. These presentations are based around very much the voice and the community drive, but I give you a brief introduction to the actual organization. First of all, where we are located, and you see the map of Europe, and then I'm located in Denmark, or we are based in Denmark, however, operating on an international scale. This is a map of Denmark, completely surrounded by water, only the border up to Germany. Otherwise, it's water all around, and a lot of lakes and rivers. We are in Lemvig, a small coastal town here on the west coast, where you see the red mark. It is facing, of course, the coast, but also close to a fjord that is crossing through the mainland. So there's a lot of water challenges. Climatorium is based on or working within the quadruple helix model. So with the knowledge at universities, the research knowledge, partnering that with often where a lot of challenges, big challenges are located in the public sector. So with councils or power utilities, water utilities, and then linking that with the industry, that if they need to solve something, quite often it is solvable, engineering parts and thinking solutions. So by getting these three parts together, it is looking at taking the challenges we are facing and converting them into new opportunities. And then in the center, we have the civil society, which is very core in what we are doing. It is remembering to engage with the communities, with the people, but also very importantly, just to take all our knowledge, which is often in silos. We are often the knowledge experts, but very hard in sharing our knowledge across sectors, and in getting the societies on board and understanding actually what can be done and what is being done, and also making sure that they can see themselves in the solutions that we're working on. So that is very briefly about Climatorium, but it's a building where first floor is open to public, and we also have a website and a lot of events we're running to work with people and to communicate the projects we're working on. And on first floor, it's shared office space, so a lot of the different meeting between different industries on a daily basis that makes new projects arise. But what I thought I'd dive into today is water in general, and some of the learnings that we've had on our journey so far, because the core message I think I will bring is that you cannot be individually resilient. It all comes as a community. This knowledge sharing and this collaborating across sectors is very core. And then, do we take water for granted? And these two images, and it's very different on how we work with water or feel water on a daily basis. And I think previous speakers has also sort of touched on this. If water is a situation where we have to walk far and collect the water and only have certain amounts of water available to us, we definitely do not take it for granted. But a lot of people today open the tap and out comes quite often very pure, drinkable water, healthy, safe water. And we don't even think much about how many volumes are coming out. And we need to reconnect so that we actually understand the importance of how much water is coming out of the tap. And life on Earth depends on water, and 70% of our bodies is water. And 70% of our planet's surface is covered by water, where only fresh water only represents 3%, and only 0.5% is what is readily available to us. And I think sometimes we have to reflect upon these numbers because it's quite significant. And I really like this map that sort of puts together the normal planet Earth that we see, but this one where you have how much is actually water, and when you squeeze the land together. And yeah, even though we know these things, I like to revisit because it just makes it appear in your head and make that other connection to just respect and not taking water for granted. Then also, if we look at that, 2/3 of people on our planet live in areas where access to fresh water is an issue. And climate change and overuse of water will mean that nearly 1 in every 2 people will live in water-stressed areas by 2030, which is not far away. So we're sort of moving the wrong direction. And if we look at our Sustainable Development Goal number 6, we promise safely managed water and sanitation for all by 2030. So that is quite a journey getting there. And then getting some images in also to the feeling we often know and we see how it affects. But again, sometimes if there isn't enough water, we have these situations that we can't grow our crops, or we can't feed our animals, we can't get water ourselves. And then to the other extreme, that we suddenly have too much water, and that I think almost everyone today has felt this quite close, where a few years back it's something that we heard about, but you have to feel it on your own body quite often to really understand it. But these extremes where there's too much water from different sides, or at times we just too close to actually not having any water for your crops. And then of course the other part is also the quality of the water, carrying diseases, or how clean it is and how we can work with it. So it comes down to the importance of water management. Like, we have a lot of water, we saw that, we know that, but how do we manage and deal with our water and make sure we use it in the right way? An interesting point is this non-revenue water, meaning water that doesn't really not have any value, but that gives the purpose, that is just lost with leakage in our pipe systems. And on a global scale, it accounts for 25 to 50% that is just lost, which is extreme amounts. That is a very no-brainer, more or less, area to tap into. How can we actually reduce this water loss? How can we manage our pipe network better to reduce the leakage? For example, for Denmark, it's 6%. Which is an area that's been a lot of focus on, and there's even more focus on how we can monitor our pipe network to step in before damage is done. But I think throughout the world, our pipe systems, we don't know enough about how to actually where it is located. Quite often we don't know exactly where it's located, and just the management of it, because it's hidden from the human eye, and that again creates that disconnect to something that's very important to us, but that we take for granted, or don't really understand the importance of. And then does water have a value? And I think this graph is very interesting. It shows on the bottom part different countries, and on the vertical level it shows the value in US dollars per cubic meter. And out far you have Denmark, and then you have different countries. But there's a huge difference on the countries in what we pay for water, and it's incentivizing how we deal with it and how we treat it. Quite often we have to feel it in our wallet. So we need to actually act based on what we're paying for it. So there's I think it's quite interesting, the huge difference in the price that we're paying for our water, and think there'll be huge changes there to try to deal with water differently, and maybe also reduce this non-revenue water part. If we look at Denmark's average water consumption per capita per day, it is 105 liters. If we have less than 40 liters per day per person, it is categorized as being water poor. And then you have the extreme. It's hard to get on a global level the average per capita, but if you go to a country like the States, they have more than 500 liters per day per capita. It's a huge difference. So also there's a part to step in. And I believe that a huge part of this is just the awareness, making people aware of, again, the first picture with turning on the tap and water just running out. We can reduce that significantly. And this map shows also that almost half of our per capita water consumption is for showering or bath, for body care. We should definitely be able to reduce that. And toilet flushing, 30%, we should also be able to reduce that. So there must be, or there really should be, some easy places to step in to treat water with more respect and more care. And then I really like this, and I wanted to read it out loud because I thought that is quite saying in how we do things sometimes without thinking, and we should be able to ask some questions and rethink our behavior. So according to the Beverage Industry Environmental Roundtable, 19 companies reported a total use of 746 billion liters in 2017, which would be enough for over, and now I just need to reduce this 1 second, Edith. This would be enough for over 1,081 million people to drink in 1 year. So to put things into perspective, the water used by 19 beverage companies would be enough to end the thirst of the ones who don't have access to water. I think that says it quite a lot, that who is winning, yeah, how can we act differently to actually remember the people or put people first? It is a journey. It is almost finished, this one. It is a journey. This one, it's not me, and the journey and how we the knowledge sharing, the awareness creation, and how we start acting or thinking differently about things. So it's not for me. And then the more you find out, the more conversation you're having, then maybe, and how can we do it? Let's do it, and it is possible. So we need to these conversations are so important. We do have, because this is sort of driving, how can we on a global scale, what we're working at Climatorium is youth, and with youth voices to connect across countries. And we have running where, what is your connection to water? So if any of you are connected to youth, really would be happy if you want to share, getting voices out there to what is your connection to water, to help get some focus on this. We're also running in August a National Climate Conference where we are looking at climate adaptation. And in this one, you can join online and you'll be able to find out more about some of the climate adaptation projects we're working on or that's happening. But yeah, finishing off with, let's make our future now and let's make our dreams tomorrow a reality. And I like this one. You might have seen it fluctuating in social media right now, but it's from the Netherlands. And in 1980s, it looked like the top photo. And in 22, like the bottom one. So we can really do something. The big question is keep asking the why. Like the little why can take it a long way in rethinking the way we are just doing things because of habits. So yeah, that's all very quickly run through, but thanks very much. And please reach out.
Bravo. There was such a good, nice design to transport so many insightful facts. I think you will also benefit a lot to spread the awareness about the companies in the European Union and their massive impact on water and how much it uses. I think this would be from great interest. For everyone else, is there a question for Sarah right away you would like to go for?
Very nice and very brief presentation from Sarah, and it's really good to know that how the beverage water can feed over 1 billion people of the world for drinking water. And somewhere like US, the 500 liter per capita, and Denmark, it's about 100 liter, and somewhere the water scarcity is not more than even 30 liter per person per capita. So very informative and ideal chance for youth to connect with her organization. And I think the QR code is there. So they can easily connect and follow on the LinkedIn that the youth can know what's happening in the world. Thank you very much.
Sarah, could you send me your presentation via LinkedIn in a message? Because for everyone else, also from the speakers, some did already. Thank you. That's much easier. I will share the presentation with a key message along the week. Like last time, it wasn't all on one day. It's just like with the flow a little bit also to share more and more. And also in regards to time management. And then we keep the page also a bit alive. Yeah, thanks, Sarah, for being here. And yeah, whoever sees connections to her, to partner, reach out and use your connective feeling in a network where we all act in special regions. And yeah. Wonderful. I have to excuse myself before the last presentation. I have to jump on as well. I would like to share one learning from last event, which is we developed with Troy Davis together and the whole community a lot of solutions, collaborative solutions on how to create peace, world peace, and climate action, and water included. And there was one step, which is to create a global narrative. And the global narrative, which is the original part from India, from the G7 and Modi's invitation last year, is we are one planet Earth. No, we are one human family on one planet Earth with one common future. And if we connect this, we become like, we are now all very much used to work global, but sometimes we forget that there are also nationalists. And to create peace between countries and collaboration, it's important to create a story of humans on planet Earth together. Yeah, thank you for being here. I hand over to Abdul, and for the last presentations. We have a next event scheduled, which will be bigger as, again, Food for Peace, we said, Abdul, this year for World Disaster Day.
The World Disaster Day, yeah.
And this is in September, October?
Yeah, in September. And we will announce and upload on social media, and having crossed the worldwide experts and stakeholders on World for Peace.
Exactly, and this will be also published bigger, much bigger, but we also try to share the knowledge and connect the knowledge through our opportunities. So please also share it with others, the presentations which are useful for them if you have outside the event to create impact. Yeah, thanks from my heart from Germany for being here. Blessings for everyone for water and peace.
Thank you very much, Isabel, and thank you for your activity to spare time. Our last presenter is Mika. It's a very good friend, and he's a chemical engineer, and we'll have his presentation. Warmly welcome to him. And he's in Finland and worked across many countries, and now the water industry and peace very, very closely. Please, Mika, and present your presentation.
Thank you. When I get this assignment, Water for Peace, I approach this a little bit engineer's way to the peace and water. I share my screen. It's not presentation. I just take nice photos. I think for the last this mainly my photos and some of them from internet, but I hope that is now my screen is sharing there. Can you see?
Yeah, we can see. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a Lake Inari from Lapland. So I had done my studies in University of Technology in Department of Chemical Engineering, and I have been doing practically in water technology and business. So my approach is a little bit different that way. Now I come from 7 years in a row now, happiest country in the world, Finland. In Finland we have 168,000 lakes, and most of them are drinkable water after slight treatment, just boiling or a little bit UV. It's not
Mika,
much,
we
but
see your screen with yes, now it's good. Thank you.
you see Lake Inari, yeah, and my daughter's swimming there. So yeah, but that, for example, that lake is drinkable practically already. If you make a coffee, you just take a coffee pan and boil it. And yeah, water can make you happy. That's what I have figured to be a reason to be the happiest country in the world. But oh, stuck. One moment. I was too fast for this. Okay. You can live without many things, but you can't. But you need water every single day. We have used many technologies, and I've been working with water for a long time, and every water can be treated and cleaned and provided to everyone. But the cost is a significant thing in there. Everybody needs pure drinking water. But I've been thinking it, but does everybody deserve that? How about their actions? In Finland, we have a saying, so the forest answer when we call to it. It's the same way the water answers to us how we treat it. This point of my stories today is in peace. I show some examples, the mistakes what we have done in Finland and Europe, and how we have solved it. Maybe not the best way, but it's a solve it, and approach with a positive approach that we have done something, and that can be multiplied to many other countries, and find better solutions to make a human life better everywhere. When we treated wastewater, we have a sludge, and that's a very important thing. Back on the days when the wastewater treatment started well, the reduction made a difference in discharge. The processed waste was sludge. But why it's waste? It has good nutrients, phosphorus, nitrogen, selenium, etc. All what farming needs in fertilizer. But there has been a huge problem with heavy metals and pathogens. That makes the great fertilizer unusable, and it went to waste dumps and to the motorway ramps as a green building. Solution for that was quite simple. It needs some legislation changes, and especially I take up the mercury was forbidden to use everywhere. So there wasn't any more mercury in wastewater that much. That dropped the mercury content to sludge down. Then also some changes in process to take out the heavy metals. That made sludge better, and then heating up the sludge kill pathogens, bacteria, and viruses. That made it great fertilizer to farming. For example, I used wastewater treatment plant sludge as a fertilizer in my own fields. This is for my own fields from Finland. That's my honest hobby beside engineering work. When they got the new system to treat sludge, and the end result was clean, then I got that free from treatment plant. It was a great deal comparing to artificial fertilizers. But after a few years, last year, it has already price what was a half of the price of the artificial fertilizer. So there is a hope in efficient nutrient circulating in sustainable development, and now that is paying off. I think that is a good success story, from waste to fertilizer. Then we have Germans also here, so I have a nice long photo from Germany. River Rhine is the most important rivers in Europe, and it's used many ways. It comes from many different countries. About 50 million people lives in its catchment area, and it's discharged for treatment wastewater or municipality wastewater. From that rain supplies drinking water for about 20 million people. Despite receiving pollution through wastewaters from households and industries, the rain still carries a high burden of heavy metals and chemicals, equals pesticides and hormones, that affect the drinking water quality of the rain residents. For example, BASF, huge chemical plant in Germany, the wastewater treatment plant is one of the largest in Europe and the largest wastewater treatment plant on the rain. It purifies a volume of the water that would be created by some 3 million people of private households. I had to say, in rain, there has been done a great job. And discharge of this wastewater treatment plant is a raw water for next city. I didn't find anywhere, but I have heard some lecture once that the rain water has used 7 times during its journey from Alps to sea. Then there's especially the textile industry in fabric dyeing and the chemical industry are particularly difficult wastewaters. Problem is that many of these factories has been moved to developing countries, causing without proper wastewater treatment a lot of harm to environment in the downstream and the marine areas. In these matters, common rules of the game must be created globally as a basis of local legislation that requires certain water purification standards. This is correspondingly good result. We can get good results as from this as from child labor things. It has been and it is sadly still in many places that the river is a sewage. But the river should be the flood of life. The discharge of the waste is the next city raw water. Yeah, that sounds like closing the municipality water circuit. So it's almost like you take your own discharge for your own waterworks and drink it again. Hey,
thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much, Peter. And you know, every year we do World Water Day celebrate with stars worldwide. And this water, with the basic concept that water carry no religion, no boundary. And the people of multiple disciplines come and tell the word that's how they think and how the word and this the blend of the every discipline of water, like in quality, in transboundary, in economy, and you know, ultimately it takes the water as a piece when the river travels and it goes to every person and take the water and then ultimately fall into ocean. So
yeah,
here
maybe I can say one more thing.
Sure.
Then I close if it's okay. Yeah. For closing words, I rise an opportunity. I'm currently searching new challenges. I have multiple skills in water treatment and a lot of common sense. Also, we together can find sometimes out of the box solution and reach good solution in reasonable price. It's better to clean 80% of wastewater with 20% of cost than none for the reason that process is too expensive. Hey, let's contact in LinkedIn and find solutions together to make world a little bit better place in love and peace. And that's thank you.
Thank you very much. And thank you all of the participants. And I will take to ask request here Dr. Renuka for concluding note. And then we disperse, and the recording and the presentation will be available on the social media. We'll be sharing the link. And this is the beauty from across the world, Africa, Asia, Australia, Europe, everywhere. There are the people from the multiple backgrounds and speciality. And what I am seeing the future, that the water circularity rather than the circular economy, linear economy, twisting towards the circular one. And the world has to align once again. The science and technology is there. Artificial intelligence is jumping in water, and even we are working with IoTs and using this AI in our projects. And the future science has to be augmented with our nature. And this is the only solution. Thank you very much. Over to Dr. Ranuka.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I think this was very interesting panel you brought, because they were from different countries, different experience they have brought. Especially, people have touched, speakers have touched on people. They have touched on the technology. They have touched on the chemical characteristics of water, as well as science and governance structures. So I think it was a wholesome piece of different areas of water and its problem and how we should address them. So it was very interesting to hear everyone. Thank you very much. I wish you that you bring every time this encouraging discussions now and then, so that we are enriched with our knowledge. Thank you very much. And I will invite everyone to open their camera for a group photograph. You can take your time to open the camera, please. If everyone can open the camera. And I think we can stop recording. But if anyone wants to say last comment, please feel free to tell your comments first, and then we can take a picture.
Just thanks for organizing the session. It was very interesting. A number of really interesting presentations. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. All right, let's go with the picture. 3, 2, 1. Okay, it's taken now. Thank you very much. I will stop the recording. The recording has stopped. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And have a nice and very good World Water Day. And within your life, many happiness and thinking on water. We are blessed in this era, and many prayers for the upcoming human who will be in this planet and enjoying the nature and their life. And the water is a marathon, like we shall have going to hand over to them. So thank you all of you. Yeah, and have a blessed life and a blessed day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.